So with that, we do have an amazing guest speaker that is here with us today. We have Allison Garcia, talent acquisition leader at Hylant, who is joining us. So with that, Allison, I will turn it over to you to share your screen and to take it away.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Tandeka, and thank you, everybody. I'm really excited to be here. So please, again, if you have questions, I want to hear them. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into this session. To begin, I want you to pause and identify the last group project that you worked on with others. Either as a student or in an organization, maybe a student org that you're involved in, a class setting, or an internship, or your job that you work. So take a moment, think about that. Hopefully you all have something in mind. Now that you have that in your mind, think about the role that trust played in accomplishing your task. Did you trust your team members? Did you trust the sources of information you used? Was the end result something that you were proud of? And was the process seamless, or were there bumps in the road? If there were bumps in the road, what caused them? Did someone not pull their weight? If they didn't, how did you handle this? Did you pull yours? Did your participation instill confidence in your team members? If you take the time to look at the fruits of your efforts in the workplace or in your student organizations, you'll find that trust is paramount for ultimate success. So today we're going to look at ways for you to elevate your own trustworthiness and lead by example. So first off, I think we should do some introductions. I'm Allison Garcia. There's a picture of me with some of my vegetables. To give a brief introduction, I've been in the talent acquisition or recruiting industry my entire professional career since 2016. I've recruited for companies like Bank of America Merrill Lynch, Nestle USA, GoDaddy, TriNet, and all leading small and large teams of very talented recruiters. Today, I am the talent acquisition director at the greatest company that I've come across in my career so far, Hylant, which is a national commercial insurance brokerage headquartered in Toledo, Ohio, where I live. I have the best job in the world. I get to help people find careers where they are passionate about what they do, they can grow and thrive and make an impact daily. And at the same time, finding talent improves things for the business. From improved morale, from having more support and more team members, to new innovative ideas and perspectives, incredible skill sets added to the business, and new faces to service our clients. So I get to do kind of the best of both worlds. So in my own role, trust lives at the heart of what I do every single day. I find talent to bring into the organization. Managers and leaders and executives trust me to fully vet those individuals to ensure that they have the skills, the mindset, and work ethic, the trustworthiness themselves, and kindness to do a great job while having Hyland's best interest at heart. They also trust me to do this in a timely manner and to understand the inner workings of their team and what that specific team needs. When candidates sign their offer letters, they entrust me at Hylant with not only their futures, which will impact them, but will also impact their families as well and their career growth for themselves. They're entrusting a great deal to me as a recruiter. I'm in no way saying that I'm an expert in trust, but it's a skill that can be developed, and I work on it every single day. A bit more about me briefly. I graduated from BGSU in 2015 with a bachelor's degree in political science. Clearly, I'm not doing that now, but insurance finds its way to all of us. I am a worship leader at my church, and I'm a member of a philanthropy called Toledo Women for Good. I actively lead volunteer efforts in partnership with United Way, and in addition to overseeing all recruitment efforts at Hylant, I run our entire summer internship program. So if anybody's interested in internships, this is my selfish plug to get connected with me because we have a fantastic intern experience. So let's think about trust. Before we get into it, we'll do another quick exercise. If you have the ability to grab a pen and paper or your notes app on your cell phone, I want you to think about somebody that you trust, somebody that you can tell your secrets to, or maybe it's somebody in the workplace that has mentored or guided you. I want you to write down how that person makes you feel when you interact with them. So I'll give you about 30 seconds to really think about that and write something down. And once you've written that down, I want you to think about some of the things that maybe they do or they say that make you trust them. All right, so when you're thinking about that person, try to recall as well how quickly you began to trust that person when your relationship started and how quickly that relationship formed. Does everybody have theirs? All right. Now, on the same piece of paper, I want you to write down the name of somebody that you don't trust. Unfortunately, we all have somebody that we've encountered, whether professionally or personally, who perhaps has broken our trust. Take a moment and I want you to write down, how does that individual make you feel? Or if they're not in your life anymore, how did they make you feel? And what actions or things that they said caused that trust to be broken? Give you a few seconds to write that down. Does everybody have theirs? All right, so before we move into what trust actually is, we're going to do one more quick thing. And I'm going to ask you, based on your notes, to come off mute really quick. You don't have to name the person, not going to out anybody today, but if you can share one word that you would associate with a relationship where there was a high level of trust, I would love for you to share that word. I'll start and I'll give a few examples. So one would be safe or valued or respected. Can anybody come off mute and share anything that they feel when they think about a high trust relationship? How about you, Abigail?
Comfortable comes to mind.
Absolutely, that's a good one.
Chirag wrote in the chat pragmatic.
Pragmatic.
The word he used.
I like that. Awesome. Thank you. So a few more might be inspired, understood, open, accepted, comfortable, supported, real. Maybe you have connection. You feel comfortable failing, right? That's important to learn and grow. Predictable and accountable. So those are some things that maybe you feel. Now, let's do the same thing for somebody that, how did they make you feel, or what are words that you associate with a low trust relationship? So I'll share a few again. One might be manipulative, or maybe you feel on edge, apprehensive in decision making, or unhappy. Does anybody want to share something that they would associate with low trust? Jada, how about you? Oh, I think she's on mute. Okay. Oh, there she is.
Okay. Sorry.
You're good.
Question.
What's a word that you would associate with a low trust relationship? So some examples I gave were manipulative, on edge, apprehensive.
I would say disloyal.
Disloyal. That's a good one.
And Chirag put in the group chat, transactional was the word he would use.
Ooh, that's really good, Chirag. I like that a lot. So some other words that I had listed were tense, guarded, dishonest, quiet, uneasy, maybe avoidant, careful, right? You're afraid of what you can say, intimidated, closed off. Elizabeth, I see your hand raised. I think you're on mute.
Yeah, go ahead, Elizabeth. Feel free to unmute.
Oh, I think we lost Elizabeth. That's okay.
Pearl?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
perpetual
I will feel tensed.
Tense. That's a good one. What did Perpetual put in the chat?
dishonest.
Dishonest.
Mhm.
That's a great one. So, in realizing the quick associations that we have regarding trust, it's easy to see why it's so important to keep trust at the center of what we do in every interaction. So, what is this T word? Oh, did somebody have something to add? Sorry, thought I heard something. Okay.
Initially, I wasn't able to hear you, so I wanted to ask the question you were asking so that I can contribute.
Sure. So the question was, what is something negative, like a negative word that you would associate with a low trust relationship? So somebody who's maybe not trustworthy.
Oh, okay. If I have someone who is not trustworthy, the things that will be associated with it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like, how would you feel? How do they make you
I'll feel
feel?
betrayed.
Betrayal.
Yeah,
That's a great word. Thank you, Elizabeth. I
right.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Erica also put in the chat box unheard is the word she
Unheard.
used.
These are all great. So we've all had some interaction, right, where maybe the trust was broken or it wasn't there. And I think recognizing that helps us to be better. So that's what we're going to talk about. So the T word, we keep using trust. Simply put, T is a confidence born of character and competence of a person in an organization. So the opposite of trust is suspicion, and that comes from Stephen Covey. So simply put, if you are not a trustworthy individual, people may not believe that you can lead them down a path of success. And it really doesn't matter the context. So I'll give an example. Last night, I presented on a college campus in Indianapolis and drove home to Toledo this morning. To safely drive home, I relied on a complex web of trust in various aspects of society. To name a few, I had to trust the automotive industry and that the vehicle that I'm in was built safely and would get me home securely. I had to trust that the auto shops I have used to maintain my vehicle have performed their jobs well, that the roads, bridges, and highways are maintained and safe to use, that traffic lights and signs and signals are functioning correctly, and that others will obey them as well, that police and emergency responders are available and capable if needed, ensuring safety on the roads and public spaces, that my GPS or Waze provides accurate info and routes for me, traffic and safety notifications, that other people will generally believe or behave in a predictable and courteous way, non-threatening to me, and that the people preparing the Starbucks that I picked up more than once followed food and safety protocol and prepared my food with care so I don't get sick. My point is that listing all of this is that trust is impacting you more than you realize. We have an innate sense of trust in others, and so it's our responsibility to trust ourselves and others in different areas to be successful. In the small daily things and the bigger things in your life, being able to trust in institutions, organizations, social norms will keep things moving. If we as humans are unable to trust in basic things and live in a state of suspicion, life slows down, less is accomplished, peace is robbed from us, and things like anxiety, stress, and chaos will set in. So trust is a foundational element in daily life, as we've talked about a little bit. It impacts your career growth, your teamwork, the results of your team and self, and life in general. So while trust is born of competence and character, it is a skill that can be developed and improved and measured. We can measure by such a thing, we measure trust by such a thing called trust economy, where there are trust taxes and trust dividends. So trust taxes are a result of low trust. They cause an organization, group, or company to slow down or suffer. And some common trust taxes could be a toxic work environment, poor communication, disengagement, work in silos, infighting, rigidity, lack of creativity or productivity, Also, being afraid to take risks. That's important, right? When we're innovating, when we're being creative, we're, working in a group, we want to take some risks. Even the desire to quit or quit but stay, right? So where you're just checked out. Alternatively, when there is a high trust area, it pays out in what we call trust dividends. So these dividends could be things like a safe work environment, great communication, high engagement and energy, collaboration, advocacy, agility, innovation, high productivity, willingness to take risks, and inspired work. So who wouldn't want those things? Creating high trust is a set of learnable skills, which we'll uncover today. And you'll find that when you actively work on these skills, trust can be built quickly and lead to unprecedented success. Any questions so far? All right. So today we're going to go over 3 different types of trust: self-trust, relationship trust, and organizational trust. At the heart of it, you'll find that you can't get into relationship or organizational trust if you do not trust yourself. But before we get there, let's break down what competence and character truly mean in the face of trust. So this is what we're going to call our trust framework, all right? This was created by Franklin Covey, so I'm sharing their material with you. And at the heart of trust is credibility, as we see here. Who can define credibility for me? Does anybody want to take a stab? All right, so I'll go ahead. Simply put, credibility is leading by example and walking the talk. So if you're going to be about it, if you're going to talk about it, be about it, right? Imagine you're in the court of law and you have been called as an expert witness. The lawyer for the prosecution is attempting to convince the jury that you are a credible witness. What will he first try to prove? First, that you're a person of integrity, that you're honest and congruent, that you have a reputation for being truthful, and that you would not lie. Second, he's going to try to prove that you have good intent, that you're not trying to deceive anybody or to protect anyone, that you don't have any hidden motive or agenda that would color your testament to the jury. Third, he's going to basically show that your credentials are excellent, that you do indeed have expertise in this area, knowledge, skills, and capability in which you are called to testify. And fourth, that you have a good track record. So this is going to be that you've demonstrated your capabilities effectively in other situations in the past, that you produce good results, and that there is good reason to believe that you will do so again. Now, a lawyer for the defense gets up. He is going to try to convince the jury that you're not credible. So what will he try to prove? The exact opposite of what we just shared. Perhaps that you lack integrity, that you're dishonest, or that you've lied in the past, or that you're flaky or have some character flaw that would discredit your testament, that you have a hidden agenda or some motive to spin your testimony on the prosecutor's behalf. Or that your credentials are lacking, that you're not qualified to testify in the area of your supposed expertise, or that your track record is tarnished or lacking. Maybe you haven't produced good results in the past or demonstrated the ability to accurately discern the facts. It basically boils down to these 4 issues: integrity, intent, your capabilities, and your results. So your credibility is as an expert witness, as a person, as a leader, a family, an organization depends on these 4 factors, and that credibility would be vital to the case, particularly that there were no irrefutable physical evidence, thus implying that the verdict would basically come down to the credibility of the person testifying, right? So if there's no hard evidence that says, okay, this person did it, what does it come down to? Your word against somebody else's. So the more credible person is going to persuade the jury more. That's why credibility is so important. In the court of life, a lot can depend on whether or not you are a believable person. So as we continue on, we're going to go through 4 building blocks of credibility listed here, and how you can assess your credibility in order to identify maybe some areas that you want to work on, maybe some areas that you're really good at, but maybe some areas that need a little bit of work as you grow as a professional, how you can elevate your trust in yourself and others. Before we do, we're going to move to one thing, and I want you to think about maybe one area of your life that you want to improve the most. This can be in the context of your job, internship, full-time work, or personal life. I'll give my own example that I want to work on my accountability. I know that if I could do a better job accomplishing some small tasks as I said I would, my team's lives would improve drastically and their trust in me as a leader would improve because I do what I say I'm going to do. However, I often let my day-to-day work and other meetings or priorities get in the way. Things come up. That's normal life. Looking at it close up, it looks like my team isn't getting the results they need to from me. But from far away, I can see that the real issue is not the results. It's my own integrity and holding myself accountable. And if I have intent, following through on it. What we find is that most people think their issues stem from not being from being incapable or maybe not having the right skill sets. Those can be trained for, but in actuality, if they started with themselves and why they're not getting the work done, they would actually see better results. So let's talk about self-trust. It starts with you. The first wave of trust is that self-trust. It's all about credibility. It's about developing the integrity, the intent, capabilities, and results that make you believable, both to yourself and others. And it all boils down to two simple questions. First, do I trust myself? And second, am I someone that other people can trust? With regard to having trust in self, it often begins with the little things such as keeping a promise we made to ourselves, maybe to drink more water, to get more sleep, maybe to call our parents more consistently, or get up a bit earlier every day and write in our journal. Research shows that many of us don't often follow through on the goals that we set or don't keep the commitments we make to ourselves. For example, while almost half of Americans, so about 50%, make New Year's resolutions every year, guess how many actually keep them? 8%. So Tandeka, is that what you were going to say?
I was gonna say 1%, so that's
Okay.
more than I thought.
All right, so we're doing okay as Americans. So typically about 8% only keep them, which is still pretty low. What happens when we do this time after time? We don't keep our commitments to ourselves. What is the net result of repeated failure to keep our commitments? It hacks away at our self-confidence, right? If we can't keep our commitments to self, we don't think highly of ourselves because we think, why can't I do this? Why can't I just get up in the morning every day at 6:45 instead of sleeping in and hitting snooze? We start to talk negatively to ourselves and it impacts our self-confidence and our self-esteem. Not only do we lose trust in our ability to make and keep commitments, but we fail to project the personal strength of character that inspires trust. We may try to borrow strength from our position or from our association or what we're involved in, but that's not real. It's not ours. We're just borrowing. And people know it and they see through it when you don't have confidence in yourself. So whether we realize it or not, that impacts the bottom line. Though we all know it intuitively, research validates that a person's self-confidence affects his or her performance. Building self-confidence in others is a huge part of leadership. Lack of self-trust also undermines our own ability to trust and relate to others. The good news is that every time we keep a commitment to ourselves or set and achieve a meaningful goal, we become more credible. The more we do it, the more confidence we have that we can and will do it, and the more we trust ourselves. Ralph Waldo Emerson said that self-trust is the first secret of success, the essence of heroism. I want to be a hero to myself, to others. I think most of us do. So self-trust is the first step to that. Does anybody have questions on self-trust? All right. So moving on. Now we're going to get into those different competencies, right? So let's talk about integrity. Self-trust starts with integrity and intent. The first two deal with character. Character is who you are as a person. Integrity is what most people think about when they think of trust. To many, integrity basically means honesty. While it includes honesty, it's much more than that. It's integratedness. It's walking your talk. It's being congruent inside and out and having the courage to walk in alignment with your values and your beliefs. Most massive violations of trust are actually violations or are those lapses in integrity. So think about like big organizations. Remember the BP oil spill that happened a long time ago, right? That really violated the trust of a lot of people in our oil system and their ability to safely navigate waters and transport oil. And that was a lapse in integrity. There were some corners that were cut that resulted in this. And that's one of many examples we can think about from a corporate setting, where if you have a lapse in integrity, it's going to make a big impact. So you can actually do a quick self-assessment on your integrity to know where you're measuring in this area. So I want you to think about the following. We're going to ask 3 questions. The first one is, I consistently make and keep commitments to myself and to others. So give yourself a star if you think you're doing well in that area. And if you think that one needs work, think about that a little bit more. The next one is, I pursue the truth over being right. So what's more important to you, being right and having your pride, or seeking the truth? The next one is, I stand firmly for my values, especially in the face of opposition. So if you're being pressured or if you're being told to do something that you don't think is ethical, do you stand firmly or do you cave to pressure? And my answer to that is, if you didn't do well in any of those areas, does not mean that you're a bad person. It means you're a human, right? And we are all navigating this journey together called life. So give yourself a little bit of credit and acknowledge those successes that you do have. If you feel this represents you well, maybe focus on a different core of credibility. However, if you're struggling with integrity, living in congruence, humility, and courage are ways to self-improve. So as we mentioned here, these are some areas that you can target in your personal life to help you live with more integrity. Remember, once you start to make small changes, like not telling small white lies or keeping promises to yourself and others, your confidence will improve and flow into every other area of your life. Let's talk about intent. So intent is our motive and agenda. Openly and clearly declare your intent so others don't question it. Assume others have positive intent and question if you're unclear. So if you have questions about somebody's ask of you, ask them. It's okay. As long as you're not sassing too much, you can get all the clarity that you need. Trust grows when our motives are straightforward and based on mutual benefit. In other words, when we genuinely care not only for ourselves, but also for the people we interact with, we lead, or we serve alongside. When we suspect a hidden agenda from someone, or we don't believe they're acting in our best interest or with pure intentions, we're suspicious of everything that they say and do. Both integrity and intent are matters of character. So consider what John Huntsman, chairman of Huntsman Chemical, said. There are no moral shortcuts in the game of business or life. There are basically 3 types of people: the unsuccessful, the temporarily successful, and then those who become and remain successful. The difference is character, right? So if somebody's consistently successful, they probably have good character. Assume positive intent. I have this on a sticky note on my computer on my desktop. I can't tell you how many times per week I receive an email and get flustered. My brain instantly flips to a victim mode where I assume that someone might be upset with me or is implying or sending a nasty gram for whatever reason. In reality, this individual likely needs something from me to complete their own work or simply has a question. Yes, it's more work for me, but I may be delaying something that they need to get done. It's easy to assume negativity, and it's harder to assume positive intent. Seeking to understand instead of jumping to conclusions will build trust. When your student organization advisor texts you twice after you don't respond because you're busy and stressed, it may be easy to get flustered by their follow-up. In reality, they likely need your response to keep their work moving too, or they know you're busy and they want to help you succeed. By taking the focus off of yourself and your problems, you will seek the interests of others and build credibility. Let's think of one more example. Imagine you're a great painter and someone from the Student Government Association asked you to paint a window in the student union to advertise an upcoming event, right? So you're going to be on campus, you're going to paint this big mural, XYZ. It's midterms. You're already planning your own student organization's event and you're studying for your GRE to get into grad school. It's easy to think they're being lazy and they don't want to take this on themselves and just pass the buck and say, no, I'm too busy. And you still can say no. Boundaries are important. I do want to make that call out. But a better state of mind and a better response versus a reaction would be to think, they thought of me for this because of my skills, and they wanted to give me the opportunity to do something that I love to do. It doesn't mean that you have to accept another responsibility, but the frame of mind will improve the relationship and keep it intact. So we're going to do a quick assessment, just like we did for the previous, on how you interact with intent. The first question is, or statement I should say, is I start by assuming that others have positive intent, and I ask questions if it's not clear. So think about that a little bit. The next one is I consistently seek benefit for the entire team, not just myself. So are you out for yourself or are you working as a whole? The last one is I declare my intentions clearly, especially when they may not be apparent. So are you telling people what your motives are? If you're struggling with intent and thinking about yourself and what's in it for you, seek clarity. Work to understand the motives of others, examine your own motives and drivers, and focus less on your own agenda and how you can improve things for everybody instead. This will shine through your interactions and communication, and again, it will build credibility. So we're halfway through our core 4. Any questions on intent or on, what was my other one? Sorry, integrity.
No, I don't have a question, but I just wanted to say that I'm thoroughly enjoying this. I'm really enjoying this content a lot. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Good, you're welcome. This one it's tough, right? Introspection is difficult when we ask ourselves hard questions, but the only way to grow sometimes is to really look at how we're interacting. I know me, like sometimes I do make small little white lies to get what I want. And I'm like, I don't think I'm a manipulative person, but if I actually look at that, maybe I am. And maybe that's an area where I need to improve. And that's the whole point of getting better, right? So now we're going to move on to our last core
I had a
4.
question
Oh,
actually.
yeah, go ahead. Pearl?
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Oh,
I just wanted to find out, is there safety in always assuming that somebody had like great intentions for a project or something? Is there safety in always assuming that they have good intentions, then you later try to clarify a few things?
that's a good question. So I try not to operate in absolutes and saying always, right? Always, never. Those can be dangerous. But what I would tell you is, I think if it's a new relationship, right? It's your first time partnering with somebody on a project, assuming positive intent is always a better option for yourself. But if it's a repeat situation, right? So what I always say is you'll know them by their fruit. And so what I mean by that, and I have an illustration on that, is if you've worked with this person before and they've continuously let you down, or maybe they've had the wrong motives, at that point, I would truly question what their motives are. And that's where you clarify with them. So maybe you throw away assuming positive intent and hey, this person's a little bit lazy. That does happen. That's reality. Some people, that's why we have you as students work on group projects, is because your whole career, you're going to work with others and have to collaborate with others. And some people are going to be really passionate about the topic and they're going to bring their A game. And some people are going to get told you're doing this by their supervisor and not want anything to do with it. And whether you're in college or you're a seasoned professional, you will interact with these individuals. And so as you continue to learn, you'll start to, as you grow as a professional, you will learn how to navigate these relationships better. But if it's new, I think you can always assume positive intent. I think it's better to trust first, because when you extend trust, you receive trust back in return, and you also inspire others.
Thanks for that elaborate answer.
Of course. Princess, you have a question too?
Yeah, I do. I have a question. So my question is, what are some practical ways that have probably worked for you when it comes to tracking improvements in self-trust, integrity, or intent?
That is a great question. I think something that's practical and underrated is keeping a journal. And maybe it doesn't need to be anything long, but if you are making a concerted effort, maybe to do one of these things, right? So I will give a perfect example of this. I am on a weight loss journey right now. I'm trying to take my health into better consideration for where I'm at in life. And so what I do every day is I write down what I did to make a difference in my progress. I don't have any kind of requirements for what I have to do every single day. I don't tell myself, Allison, you've got to walk 1,000 or 10,000 steps, or you've got to eat 1,200 calories. I don't do that, because if I do that every single day and I don't extend grace to myself, I will fail. But I know that if I make a few different decisions from how I used to live every day, those good decisions will add up. So once a day, I go into this journal and I write down, today I drank 130 ounces of water, and I tracked everything that I ate. Or we had a work party and I ate a salad and 1 slice of pizza instead of 3 slices of pizza, right? Because moderation is key. But writing those things down and then seeing day after day after day after day, they add up. And then when you start to see the actual results, when your trust, so if you work on integrity, for example, when you start to see your relationships change, and then you have this journal to look back on, you did the work, your confidence will skyrocket, because you truly are investing in yourself and improving who you are as a person. So I think a journal is a great way, and it doesn't have to be a physical journal. Use your notes app, download an app, do something, and it doesn't have to be anything long. Take 1 minute a day. That's it, to really think about how you're making progress. I guarantee it'll help. Great questions.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So we're going to talk about capabilities. So capability is our means to produce and includes our talents, attitudes, skills, knowledge, and style. These inspire confidence in our abilities. These are the means that we use to produce results. A family doctor might have integrity and his motives may be really pure, but unless he is trained and skilled to perform the task at hand, so if that's like a brain surgery, for example, he will lack credibility in that area. Capabilities also deal with our ability to establish, grow, and extend trust. In your own life, you may have every intent of being a great analytics intern, but if you cannot use Excel, you will not succeed. The good news is that all of these core skills, as I mentioned before, can be developed, right? So you're not out for the count just because you can't do it today. So let's examine your capabilities. Question or statement 1 is, I have the talents and skills to do my job well. So give yourself a rating on that. The next one is, I approach work with the energy and determination to contribute. The third one is, I am continuously upgrading my skills and my knowledge. So I would give yourselves all a good rating here, because if you're attending this today, then you are working to increase your skills and knowledge. If capabilities are what you struggle with, you are in good company. A comfort is that you are early in your career and you're not expected to know everything. Be honest about your skill levels and where you need to do development, and speak with your supervisor or advisor. Go to the career center, find a mentor, and improve your skills over time. Experience comes with time, and concerted effort to improve and learn will increase your credibility. Results are the outcomes of our past performance, current performance, and anticipated performance. This refers to our track record in getting the right things done. If we don't accomplish what we're expected to do, it diminishes our credibility. On the other hand, when we achieve the results we promised that we would, we establish a positive reputation of performing and being a producer, and our reputation precedes us. So somebody may not have met you, but if you work hard and you accomplish things, somebody may know of you before they even get to meet you. Both capabilities and results are matters of competence. So consider what Victor F. Fung, chairman of Li and Fung, said. A good leader is probably no different in any culture, in a sense that a good leader must have credibility. That is something one establishes based on the way one handles himself and by his established track record. So let's look at your results. Statement 1, I have a track record of delivering great results. So if that's you, give yourself a star. If not, we got to work on that a little bit. Number 2 is I produce real outcomes. Are you doing busy work, or are you moving the rock down the path towards the goal? Number 3 is I get results without creating burnout for myself and others. So are you being effective in how you do your tasks and assign tasks? If you're a student org leader, when you delegate, are you just piling the work on, or are you being creative about your solutions? All right, so each of these cores are vital to credibility in any situation. Let's look at this example. You may have a person who has great integrity, good intent, and a marvelous track record, but if he or she doesn't have the capabilities necessary for a particular job, you won't trust that person to do a good job. Or you may have someone with great integrity who is capable and has produced great results, but if you sense that they don't care about you or your win in a particular negotiation, you won't fully trust that person. So in the world of, say, mergers and acquisitions, a company could have everything lined up, but if you're really concerned that that CEO and board of directors do not have your best interest at heart within this mergers and acquisition, if there's no trust there, it cannot happen. It won't work, right? So you've got to have all 4. There is an impact for not having one of these 4 core pieces. They're all vital as parts of the greater whole, and your credibility has 4 dimensions. Some may be higher than others, but most people look at us wholly. We either have credibility or we don't. That's how people look at us. So ask yourself this: do I exude trust? All right, so the next slide. One way to visualize the importance of all 4 cores is through the metaphor of a tree. Integrity is essentially below the surface, the root system from which everything grows. Intent becomes somewhat more visible. It is the trunk which emerges from beneath the surface out into the open. Capabilities are the branches. They are the capacities that enable us to produce the work. And results, as we mentioned earlier, are the fruits, physical, tangible outcomes that are able to be seen and evaluated and judged by others. To look at the 4 cores in this way will enable you to see the interrelatedness of all 4 of them and the vitalness of each one. It will also allow you to see credibility as a living, growing thing that can be nurtured and grown and improved over time. So now we're going to move into relationship trust. It's all about consistent behavior and learning how to interact with others in ways that increase trust and avoid interacting in ways that destroy it. More specifically, it's about the 13 behaviors common to high trust leaders and throughout the world. These behaviors are powerful for 4 reasons. 1, they're based on principles that govern trusting relationships. They're not based on fads or techniques or practices, but on enduring principles that have proven successful throughout civilization over time. They grow out of the 4 cores. They're based on personal credibility, on both character and competence, and they flow out of what you are, not what you might pretend to be. They're actionable. Number 3 is that they're actionable. They can be implemented immediately. You can immediately start making an impact. And number 4 is that they're universal. They can be applied in any relationship with your boss, your peers, associates, customers, spouse, extended family, or friends. They can also be applied in any organization, business, government, school, medicine, or nonprofit, and in any culture, though specific cultural applications may apply. What you do has a far greater impact than anything you say. You can say that you love someone, but unless you demonstrate that action, your words become meaningless, right? You've got to line them both up. You can say you want to engage in a win-win negotiation, but unless your behavior shows that you really mean it, you will come across as insincere. You can say your company puts the customer first. You can say you recognize people and people are your most important asset. You can say you'll comply with the rules, that you won't engage in unethical practices, and that you'll deliver results, that you'll keep your commitments. You can say all of these things, but unless you do them, your words will not build trust. In fact, they will destroy it. Good words have their place. They signal behavior. They create intent. They create enormous hope, right? So if somebody tells you something good, you're going to be hopeful about it. So when those words are followed by validating behavior, they increase trust. Trust goes up. And sometimes it does dramatically. But when behavior doesn't follow, or messages don't match the message, or don't match the message. Wow, words are hard today. Sorry about that. Words turn into withdrawals. Undoubtedly, you're already living some of these behaviors and getting the high trust dividends that follow. There are others you may not be living as well and are likely paying a trust tax for. You can trust the ones that you feel will make the greatest difference. So I'm going to skip ahead a slide and just show you what these 13 behavioral actions are. So they are broken up by the competence-based behaviors, the character-based behaviors, and then the competence, we have the character and the competence-based behaviors. So there's some that are both. So for character-based behaviors based on intent and integrity, you're going to focus on talking truthfully. So saying the truth and demonstrating respect for others and yourself, creating transparency in what you do and your motives, righting wrongs, so being willing to acknowledge when you made a mistake or messed up, and showing loyalty. Then for the competence-based behaviors, those competence-based behaviors specifically are going to be, oh goodness, what did I say for those two? I'm forgetting again. Not integrity and intent, but we had, what are my two? I'm going to go back. Sorry, everyone. There we go.
Results and
capabilities. Thank you, Tandeka. Gosh, I had a brain fart. So results and capabilities is what we're looking at here. So those are going to be delivering results, getting better, right? Working on your skills, confronting reality. So don't overcommit to things. If you know that you don't have the skills to do it, confront where you're at and be honest about that. Practice accountability. So do what you said you would do, and clarify expectations. So make sure that you understand what's being asked of you. Then there are these few where they overlap with each other. So when you extend trust, you receive trust back and you inspire others. When you keep your commitments, you inspire others to keep theirs, and they know that you're a reliable person and trustworthy. And when you listen first, people will open up with you more and trust more. You can change behavior, and people can and do, and doing so produces extraordinary results. Think about when you've consciously chosen to change your behavior and have been successful. For the most part, the difference between those who do and don't change their behavior is a compelling sense of purpose. When your purpose to get results in a way that builds trust suddenly the behaviors that build trust are no longer nice to do's. They become powerful tools to help you enjoy rich, satisfying relationships, greater collaboration, satisfaction, and good old plain fun as well. So these don't become chores. They become things that you now need to live by, right? Because you want to improve. We're finally going to focus on organizational trust in our last few minutes. So many of you are likely on TikTok. For the past 2 years, we saw a common trend of quiet quitting, where employees would simply stop doing more work, more than their basic job duties, as they checked out of their jobs and began job searching. This was due to unhappiness with pay, feeling burnout, or feeling taken advantage of by their employer. Maybe they were just uninterested in their work. In a strange turn of events, in an uncertain economy, we are now seeing a trend of quiet firing from employers, where many companies are seemingly piling new responsibilities onto their already overworked employees, causing that same burnout, implementing stringent return to work policies, or other new requirements, hoping that they actually push their employees out the door and cause them to quiet quit, which will protect their bottom line. It's unethical. Can you see why employees don't trust their managers? Most of the time, it is the little things, a day at a time, that add up. A weak or dishonest act at a time that gradually weakens and corrodes credibility. Little things count, like when someone calls to speak to a manager and his assistant says he's in a meeting when he isn't. It's the little things that your employees will notice. What kind of impact do these constant withdrawals have on an organization and job satisfaction, on employee retention, on the bottom line? What kind of tax is the organization paying as a result? And what is the impact on the speed at which things are getting done? Even as a student leader, saying you don't have the time to meet with your group when on a deadline because you have a social event, and lying and saying that you have a pressing homework assignment causes a lack of congruence and honesty in your personal life. If you cannot trust your own honesty, you'll struggle to instill that trust with others. On the other hand, what happens when you do get someone credible that people can trust? When you show that you listen to employees, make time and space for them, and show up when it matters. When you make space for confidence in your leadership, comfort and confidence in their abilities, opportunities for training and skills development, and you'll have a workforce or team that is empowered to act. Those same 13 principles shared in the last slide apply to organizational trust. Be someone that others can count on, rely on, and communicate openly with, and trust will follow. This entire conversation, we've talked about how trust will bloom when you work on yourself first and then implement those changes in your professional life. What is sure to come as a result are career growth and new opportunities, professional reputation and credibility, team success. The success of your team is a reflection of you, especially if you're a leader. By living in congruence with your values and living the 13 behaviors, you will make an impact on your team. So at the end of the day, you hold the power to unlock potential in deeper relationships, connections, and opportunities. Be honest with yourself, choose one behavior, start small, and start working on it, and you will be shocked to see the difference. What questions do we have? Any questions from anyone? Might have one or two.
Yeah, we have about 2 minutes left for anyone that may have a question. A comment in the chat box says, these are great. Thank you.
You are welcome.
I have a question.
Yeah,
Sure.
go ahead, Abigail.
So you said to start small with trust. Would you consider like being confident as starting like a new career that you might not have experience in?
Absolutely. I think starting a career you might not have experience in, we all have to start somewhere, right? And when you start in a new profession, you're going to be starting from scratch. But what you can do is you can do the things that will set you apart from your other people. I think what you can do is you can be reliable. You can ask great questions. You can have a solid work ethic and have results, right? So once you learn how to do things, have the results. But even before that, clarify the questions, make sure that you're moving with the right intent, and it's for the betterment of the team, it's for the betterment of the organization and not just yourself. Those things that you do will build your trust within yourself, your confidence, but also will instill the trust of your leaders as well. Welcome.
So Chirag also has a question in the chat box. He says, which trust behavior would you first recommend exhibiting to build a great start?
Ooh, that's a great question. Well, let's go to our list really quickly. I know we're at time. I think as an early career professional, you should start towards the bottom, right? It starts with yourself. It starts with your character and who you are. So one small thing you can always do is demonstrate respect, and that's respect for yourself, respect for your peers, your colleagues, professors, employer, whoever. Another is talk truthfully and transparently. So I personally think that you should live by your values. If you're a person who has strong values, you really should speak honestly and openly and try not to contradict yourself too much. It's hard when your peers might have a different opinion than you, but you will feel better about yourself when you put your head on the pillow at night if you know that you live by what you say that you value. So start with examining what your values are for yourself. Do you value honesty? Do you value meaningful relationships? Do you value family? And then from understanding what your values are, you can then start to line up how you can live congruently with those. That's where I would start.
Absolutely fantastic. Oh my goodness. And we're getting lots of comments in the chat box. Everyone just saying thank you so much, Allison. For me personally, I really enjoyed the session because, what you were covering and talking about today goes like above and beyond professional development, right? This is about personal development and how, these little actions that you mentioned, if we take these little steps every day, not only will it improve our professional lives, but it'll improve our personal lives as well, right? Relationships with family and friends and everyone really that we come into contact with. So thank you so much, Allison. If everyone would just join me in a virtual round of applause for Allison for spending an hour with us here today. So for all the students that are here with us, as you know, we host these sessions on a monthly basis during the fall semester. So our next session is going to be Thursday, October 10th from 1 to 2 Eastern. Our presenting company is going to be Arch Insurance Group, and we will receive some interviewing tips and tricks, which is very timely as recruiting season is beginning now. So check out our website, register for the session via Zoom, and I will catch you all next month. Thank you again, Allison, for being here with us today. We appreciate your time.
Thank you very much. Have a great day, everyone.
Have a good one. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.